Do I have your attention? 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 Do I have your attention?
Is you taking notes?
Okay, so let's run down the ingredients. So you're going to need vanilla bean paste. You are also going to need lemon extract paste. You are going to need an 8-ounce container of cream cheese. You can use whatever brand you would like. You're going to need 2 sticks of unsalted butter. Unsalted, not salted. You are also going to need cream cheese flavoring. And then, of course, you're going to need some shortening, vegetable shortening. And then we're going to need 6 large eggs. So with just that alone, let's get started. So the first thing we're going to want to do is to go ahead and mix up your cream cheese and your 2 sticks of butter. Now, because I was rushing to get this video done, I did not let this get to room temperature like I should have, which is why it seems so complicated right now to stir up this damn food. But for the best results and, just so that you don't make a mess, let the butter get to room temperature. Let the cream cheese get to room temperature. It'll just all mix, much easier. Don't melt the butter, please. Do not melt the butter. Just allow it to get extra soft. That way, it'll blend for you far easier. And then we're going to go ahead and add in a 1/2 cup of the vegetable shortening. Now, I do this because it just adds another layer of creaminess to the actual batter itself. You want this batter to be really, really light and fluffy. It'll almost kind of look like a buttercream icing, which essentially, that is a major ingredient for buttercream icing. So you want to also make sure that you are getting everything down off of the sides of the bowl, just so that you can make sure that everything is sticking together. Now we're adding in 3 cups of sugar. Yes, 3 cups. This is a pound cake. If you are not trying to put on pounds, or if you have diabetes, well then I don't know why you were trying to figure out how to make a pound cake. Okay, so now that we've added in our 3 cups of sugar, we are just going to continue to cream them all the way together. You want it to be nice and smooth. So, every now and then, just make sure that you get your little spatula, bring it down off of the sides of the bowl, just to make sure that nothing's sticking. If when you're scraping down the sides of the bowl, if it still feels a bit sandy, like if it feels kind of grainy, then that means you still have pretty large pieces of sugar. So definitely make sure that you're scraping down the sides, just so that you can make sure that everything is being incorporated properly. Okay, so now we're going to start adding in some of our extracts. So what we're going to add in right now is 1 teaspoon of the vanilla bean paste. Then next up, we are going to be also adding in 1/4 of a teaspoon of our cream cheese paste. Looks pretty clear. You can't really see it there, but we're adding it in. And then we're also going to add in 1/8 of a teaspoon of our lemon extract paste. Now, I know some of you guys are probably wondering, where in the world can I find vanilla bean paste? Where can I find lemon extract paste? My best suggestion would be to go to a store like a Wegmans, a Whole Foods, a Trader Joe's, any type of place that sells a lot of baking dishes, stuff like that. They typically will also sell extracts of some kind as well. If you can't find it in the store, you can also more than likely find them on Amazon. And if you don't want to go through all of that, by all means, you don't have to. You can just use your regular vanilla, pure vanilla extract. You can use regular lemon extract, and the cream cheese extract, I'm pretty sure you can find at any grocery store, so you won't really have a struggle with finding that. But the reason why I like to use the vanilla bean paste in particular is because as you start to mix it in, you'll start to notice a lot of little black dots throughout the entire mix. And those are those little tiny vanilla beans, which means while you're properly mixing it up right now, that means in every single slice of cake you get and every single bite that you get, you will be getting a lovely piece of vanilla bean. And to me, that just enhances the flavor more than just, typical vanilla. But if you cannot find it, don't worry. You can definitely still use regular pure vanilla, and that's totally fine. Don't use vanilla flavoring, fake vanilla extract. Use pure grain vanilla. So go ahead and take your spatula and go ahead and scrape down the sides once again, just to make sure that you're getting everything off of the sides. It looks so fluffy and light, I'm telling you, it makes the biggest difference in your pound cake. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start adding in our eggs. Now, we have a total of 6 eggs, but we're going to do them in increments of 2. That way we can ensure that the eggs are being properly mixed throughout the entire batter. If you just put in all of your eggs at one time, first things first, I personally feel like they're not going to be completely mixed in thoroughly the way that I like them, meaning it won't be as smooth. And also, it's important to do it this way because you never know if you're going to get yourself a bad egg. And, you know, I haven't really mentioned this before because, of course, this will be the first cake you guys will be seeing us do. But always, you guys, when you are cracking your eggs over any type of cake that you're doing, a batter, cookies, whatever it is, try to crack your eggs a little bit off of the edge of the bowl because, God forbid, if you mess around and get yourself a bad egg and it falls into your batter, your entire batter is now ruined. So it is extremely important to make sure that you are cracking your eggs. You know, try to look in once you have started to crack it open. Give it a glance, make sure that it looks okay, and then go ahead and put it into your batter. If you just bash an egg open and just put it in, and then the next thing you know, it has blood in it, there's no way of trying to save it. So do yourself a favor and just make sure that you are cracking your eggs over to the side. And also, if you're not one that really is that great at cracking eggs, honey, crack them over into a bowl, and then you can just push in one egg at a time. You know what I mean? Because you also don't want to mess around and get a bunch of damn eggshells in your cake, because ain't nobody got time for that. You know what I mean? But just look, I'm telling you, adding them in 2 at a time, it makes the biggest difference. Okay, you guys, so in a separate bowl, we had all of our dry ingredients, and the dry ingredients are 3 cups of all-purpose flour. If you would like, you can use cake flour, but cake flour tends to be a little bit more expensive. And honestly, the only difference between cake flour and regular all-purpose flour is just that it's just been sifted through the process far more than what all-purpose flour is, so you know it's a lot smoother. You can absolutely do that your own if you have a sifter at your house. So in that bowl, we had 3 cups of flour, 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. So I sifted that through about 3 times, and what we're doing in now is we're gradually adding in the flour little by little. Now, the reason why you want to make sure you're adding in the flour little by little is so that, number 1, you don't make a giant mess. And so that also, number 2, you can make sure that it is getting mixed in. Now, make sure that you are not over mixing while you're doing this because, like I said, we are gradually adding in the flour. So, you know, you don't want to overmix this because you're going to end up with a really tough pound cake and you don't want that. So just do it just enough so that the flour is, you know, mixed in so that you don't see it loose. And then once you have all of the flour in, like we've just done just now, then at that point, you can mix it up, you know, for a few more seconds. Don't get too crazy. Once again, do it just enough so that you can make sure that the flour is nicely incorporated. And then at that point, take your spatula, make sure you're working down the sides of the bowl. Make sure you don't have any, you know, flour sticking to the sides. This is a very thick cake batter. So once again, you're going to want to make sure that you're getting it all at the sides of the bowl because you don't want to lose any of that baking soda or the salt stuck to the side of the bowl. So just keep an eye on that. And then once it's mixed in, turn that hand mixer off and you can do the rest by hand. So that way you don't run the risk of, you know, overbeating the cake batter because let me tell you, it is easy to feel like you need to continue to do it. But I promise you, at about this stage right here, you're good to go. You can mix it around some more with your hand just to make sure you don't see any loose flour. But beyond that, you guys, that's it. You don't have to do anything else. You've made the cake batter, which was the hardest part. Okay, you guys, so now you're going to take your bundt pan and you are going to get yourself a paper towel or whatever it is that you would like to use. You can use just your hands on it. It's completely up to you. And you want to make sure that you are completely covering the inside of this bundt pan with butter, okay? Y'all, I try to avoid using all of this bottled spray non-stick foolishness. I just don't understand it. And at the end of the day, if you're using butter in the recipe anyway, why not just use that? Because we know for sure that that will work. And we also know what's in it. You know what I mean? So what I do is I completely cover every single piece of surface on the inside of this bundt pan with butter. And then I use the same flour that I used in the recipe. And I just pour enough in there just to make sure that I can coat the entire pan. And then you just pour off all of the excess afterwards. Now, what I'm doing right now, of course, is I'm just filling it up with the cake batter. And, don't get too fussed about, trying to make it too perfect, because at the end of the day, this is what you're looking at right now will actually end up being the bottom of the cake. This is not the top of the cake. But of course, try to make it as even as possible, so that your cake will rise up, evenly. And I will say this cake will come pretty much all the way up to the top. By the time it's done cooking, it will rise all the way up to about the edge. So, and I think this is about a 10.5-inch pan. So what you're going to do is, plop it down on the counter really hard, at least 3 or 4 times, just to get any air pockets out. And then you're going to pop it in the oven at 345 degrees for about 60 minutes. At that hour mark, get a toothpick and check it. If it is not done, keep it in the oven for 5-minute increments. Only 5-minute increments. And every 5 minutes, check it. You do not want it to overcook. And as you guys can see, it looks absolutely stunning. You want to sit it on a cooling rack for, I say, about 15 minutes in the pan. Just enough for the pan to cool down enough so that you'd be able to flip it. At that point, once it's kind of cooled off in the pan, then get whatever serving tray you're going to put it on, or, whatever the case is, and then go ahead and flip it over. Make sure you do not cut into this cake. Don't try to serve it while it's hot, because that just ain't gonna be the business. Let it take its time and cool off for at least 2 hours. But if you've properly greased it properly, look at how clean that cake is gonna come about. Look at that. Not a stitch of it is stuck. And here we go. My God, on today. Now, that don't make no damn sense. Now, I'm going to tell you something. My cake, to me, is perfect just the way it is, so I don't like to add a bunch of icing and stuff. But, honey, if you like icing, go on ahead. Thank y'all so much for tuning in today. And as always, y'all, baby, stay cute and take care. Bye, y'all.
Simply Food by TY.